Awesome. All right, perfect. All right, so you want to start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, just giving us some background?
Sure, yeah. So I'm a junior in high school. I live in the Bay Area, so around San Francisco. And yeah, I mean, in general, I've been um kind of into like the tech space and like programming and all that for around 4 to 5 years now. And yeah, that's pretty much
Oh, so you've been doing it since like seventh, eighth grade?
yeah, 7th, 8th grade is about right. Yeah.
Oh. All right, so let's go back to kind of like origin stuff. What sparked your interest in fashion, right? Because tell us about Drift first, and then tell us about like the origin story.
Oh yeah, for sure. So Drift is it's basically an AI powered stylist, and the way it works is I guess Drift is kind of follows along the origin story. So I noticed I don't like wear most of the clothes in my closet. Um and like I have like a very select few clothes that I often touch, and then everything else is just completely untouched for the rest of like pretty much the year. So I found that problem, and I talked to a couple of my friends, and they were like, "Yeah, I also have the same problem." So I kind of started googling it and started doing some research, and it's like most people have this problem after like interviewing a couple of people, and it's like 61% of the clothes in someone's closet usually are not worn. So
Not
people
surprised.
don't even wear yeah, people don't even wear half the clothes in their closet. So I was thinking about how to solve this, and the problem is most apps like that are currently on the market, they they say like they learn your style, so they give you clothes, and then you have to tell them whether you like it or not. But the problem is you like how can you tell them whether you like it or not if you don't know what clothes you like? Because that's like the problem I have. Like I don't know what style would look good on me. So I found it like the first you have to make it much more personalized. That was like the first thing. Like you need to make the style much more personalized. So the easiest way to do that is pretty much um we start by using computer vision, and we basically analyze a person's skin tone and
Wow.
body like over shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we take their dimensions into account, and then based on that, as they're shopping for clothes, if they like click on a piece of clothing, then they can virtually try the clothing on, and then we basically give them options for other clothes that would match well with what they're shopping for. So let's say for example they're shopping for a t-shirt. As they're trying the t-shirt on in like a virtual fitting room, then we give them options for like pants that would go well with the t-shirts, and they can basically just scroll through the pants and see which pant would look good on them. And like kind of the visual to take here is like if you're making like a character in a video game, and you're like choosing what armor to have on like the like I don't know, like the breastplate and the like
Yeah.
pants and whatever. Yeah, that's kind of how it is. It's like you're customizing your video game character. Like you can swipe and see how all the pieces of clothing would look on you. And these like clothing recommendations are based on the information we have about you on like your skin tone and your like body size type and all that. So that's kind of what Drip does. Like it lets you shop and then create outfits with what the clothes you're shopping for, so that the moment you click add to cart, then you have like a full outfit that you're guaranteed to love. Um, so we're kind of solving the problem before it happens.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a couple of questions. First of all, how are you guys getting these recommendation? I mean, the clothes. Where are you kind of sourcing them from? Like, do you have a database of all of these brands and every single piece of clothing that's out right now, or you kind of niche down to certain brands or certain areas?
Yeah, so we're starting with just a couple brands. So
Oh, okay.
um, that's actually one of the first problems we had. Like, how do we actually get these clothes? Because scraping these websites is pretty much illegal.
Yeah.
So um, we found an API that lets us access like a couple clothing brands, and we're starting with that. But the ideal way would be to as we progress, get affiliate partnerships with these brands,
Oh,
and
I didn't even
then
think of that. That's smart.
we'll have a private API endpoint which we can use.
Nice. Okay. So, through specialized partnerships with like I'm trying to think of like White Fox and Supreme and Babe and all these other brands. That could actually be really cool. Okay, so what would you say is kind of the hardest part about running your startup while still being in school? Because most of the founders we get are not in high school, and I know there's a huge difference between being a college founder and a high school founder. Because obviously people view high schoolers a lot less than college students, and you're not taken as serious. So, what's kind of like the balance between school, because you got to get ready for college, while also doing your startup?
Yeah, it's definitely like I'd say it's a lot more stressful because in college you have classes, but they're kind of like spread out. Whereas in school, you have to go to school for like 8 hours a day, and then you have to come home. You have to do all your homework, and then you have time to work on your startup. So
Yeah,
it's definitely a lot more stressful in that scenario, in that sense. And then also like obviously I'm focused on my startup, but there's all other activities I'm doing too. Like I play tennis, I'm on my tennis team and stuff like that. So it's kind of challenging to find a balance between doing all those other activities and doing my startup. And I'd say the good part about it is kind of the challenge nowadays with startups is like especially when you're like in an early stage, especially in with investor interest and stuff, it's mostly like where what school you go to. So like nowadays it's becoming a lot more selective, and
yeah, it
like
is.
it's really hard to get interest if you don't go to like a T20 or a T25. Um like you hear about like all those people like from Stanford, they get pre-seed funding with literally just an idea,
It's
whereas like
unbelievable.
if you if you go to like a local state university, you're probably like you have to show a lot of proof that you can actually get it done. So the good thing actually about being a high schooler in that sense is if you have a really good idea and if you like built it out, I think investors would be a lot more impressed because they're like, okay, like you're in high school and you're doing all
Way
this, so
different. Yeah.
you're obviously committed. So in that sense, it's actually easier in my opinion to get interest in your product as a high schooler rather than a college student who's not at a T20. If you're at a T20, then it's obviously like very easy to get interest. But that's the good thing about being a high schooler.
Yeah, you're totally right about the VC space. When it comes to those Ivy League schools, yeah, they definitely get a leg up and a huge advantage. Because coming from a place where I just went to a normal college, there was zero of those advantages for me for when it comes to startups. We didn't even have something for like an incubator system or insane guest speakers who would come to the college. I see it all the time. My friends at Stanford or other places like that, like the CEO of LinkedIn, someone from OpenAI came, and all these people just come to the college to speak, and it's just the opportunities there. It's crazy. Um, so I wanted to ask, how does the AI kind of learn someone's style? Like, how does it work behind the scenes?
Yeah. So we're basically fine tuning the like GPT-4 model already.
Yeah,
So we have like a bunch. So we have a bunch of inputs of like the just pictures of people, like just pictures of people in different like various styles of clothing, and um we want to like target it learning a few features. So first of all is like first you have to analyze like what skin tone the user has, and then based on the skin tone we want to give a prediction to what colors would match well on the user. So like um if you're a dark skin tone, then would you look good in like maybe like a um kind of a lighter shade of yellow and stuff like that. So we want the model to be able to analyze all those features and give the output. So we're fine tuning it on that, on just pictures of people. And then the second input is kind of their dimensions. So like the waist,
yeah,
and
body
all the other
size.
dimensions. Yeah. And based on that, we want to kind of give recommendations because there's like a lot of different types of clothing. Like there's slim fit, skinny fit, there's baggy, and um, yeah. So we're just using all that information to fine tune a GPT-4 model, and yeah.
Are you big into the fashion space? Like, what's kind of your position there? Because is it a passion project, or is it really just you see a problem and you're trying to solve it?
I think yeah, it's I guess I could consider it like both because I I'm interested in fashion, but like the main reason this idea came was just that I just don't know my own style. Like for many years, like in general in high school, I know like in high school and college, fashion's like a huge thing, and like people are always talking about it. It's a huge point of conversation, and
Uh,
it's never really something I could relate to because like I don't know my style, so I don't know what clothes would look good on me, and like I found it that like a lot of other high schoolers and college students are also like that. So it definitely is a real problem that like people don't know what style they are in and what to dress in. So yeah.
yeah, I think it's huge for your age range too. High school students, especially, like kids are starting their own clothing brands now in high school and college. So I think that younger demographic, it's huge right now. You see it all
Yeah.
the time, like Spider and all these other brands that are kind of being pushed on the younger kids, and they're wearing it. You don't really see the older generation doing that much with these brands, but I think you're targeting a perfect area. Let's see. Yeah, because it is weird because it's AI, which is data driven logic. So, how do you balance fashion taste, which obviously can be subjective, with AI? Like, how can AI almost become that personable and understand human, trends and human understanding? Because it's really subjective.
Yeah, that's definitely I think it's interesting because we wanted to like distinguish the problem of like learning someone's style versus actually creating someone's style.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
um, so most apps, like I said, what they do is they learn your style. So they give you clothes, and then they eventually tailor to what your style is. But the problem is like if I'm on these apps, like I often like don't know whether I like the clothes or not. Like I'm just like okay, I don't know if I like it or not. So um, we find the problem of like creating someone's style um maybe a lot easier because we can just give these recommendations like the color combinations is a very easy pattern to match, right? Like which
Oh,
colors would like objectively speaking go well together. Like uh in general, like an outfit made of like pure orange would not look good. That's like objectively speaking not doesn't look that good. So I think the main thing is just train it on parameters which are objectively objectively like definite. Like you
I get
can
what you mean.
you can definitely say that orange a full orange outfit would not look good together. And same thing with like size. Like you can definitely say like a slim fit wouldn't look good if like your waist is like slightly larger and stuff like that. So there's I guess you just have to remove that bias and it becomes a little easier when you're creating someone's style because someone's much more likely to like the style you create for them than actually like learning their style and seeing what they like. I think that's a harder problem.
Yeah, that is interesting, and I want to learn more about the virtual try-ons because that sounds really interesting. But some people are asking. I guess we'll get to business model. Kind of what are you charging? How are you guys making money? What is that whole stance?
Yeah, for sure. So um in terms of business model, we're having like two main revenue streams. One is going to be just like a subscription based thing. So like all these like AI try-ons and like in general using heady API calls, it takes a lot of money. So
Yeah.
we're probably gonna place like a rate limit on it. And then if they want to do more than the rate limit, we'll do maybe like $10 a month. We haven't found out the specifics yet,
Yeah.
but that's one like a freemium service. And then the other one is also going to be back to affiliate partnerships. So we'll probably just get a commission. Once we have the partnership with the brand, we'll get like a 5 to 10% commission on any sales the brand makes via our app. So that can also stack up pretty fast and earn you a lot of money.
I'm just trying to think it through. Is there going to be, because I'm wondering now, because if you have sponsorships, is there going to be biased recommendations? Like, let's say a company pays you a lot of money. Would you have the bot recommend that clothing because they paid you a lot and it's almost like they're cheating the system? Or no? Does it completely remain unbiased?
Yeah, I think the way we want to do it at least is we'd want to just have a company give like a set commission
Yeah.
on their products. So uh, then it becomes like, okay, like if one company gives 10% commission and the other gives 5%, then no, it wouldn't be biased. We just give the clothes as it is, and see who buys what.
And are you targeting any brands? Like, would you target streetwear brands that are, I don't know, maybe not so big, or would you guys look for more so a certain style, or you don't really care?
Yeah, to start off with, since we don't have that many partnerships and we're relying on just like one API to give us all our brands, we're gonna do like just two or three main brands which are included in that API. I think we have like Nike, Goat, and maybe Zara. Um, and we're just gonna start with that for the MVP just to see how users like it, and have something to launch. But definitely as we scale, I think I want to start focusing on like smaller, a little smaller scale brands that are more popular among
Yeah.
like communities. Like for example, girls, obviously women is like a huge market for this fashion product. So I know they wear like a bunch of brands. Like there's like Brandy Melville, there's PacSun, and there's um like yeah, there's like a bunch of girls brands that are super popular. So I think I want to target those like smaller brands, and then even among like guys, there's a lot of streetwear brands that are smaller but more popular. And
Ones.
we definitely target smaller brands. Yeah, later on.
Wait, so does it do an entire outfit recommendation, or like shoes included and pants and all that, or are you just focusing on a certain area right now?
Yeah, right now it's just gonna be pants and shirt.
Pants and shirt. Okay, yeah, yeah. I think you mentioned that. Yeah, because there's a lot of opportunity for sneaker stuff because that is huge, huge. Yeah, I'm just thinking about that. Huh. Okay, have kind of want to see from talk more about school POV. So how kind of are your classmates or teachers reacting to your startup, or what are their thoughts? Have they really said anything?
Um, Most of my I don't know about teachers yet because I started this after school ended. So
Summer,
I'm
yeah.
still waiting for school to get started. But in terms of classmates, most of my classmates are just looking forward to it, and uh, it's like really nice when you're in high school because your first maybe 1,000 users can just come from your and your co-founders like school. So we pretty much just have our first 1,000 users on lock, and yeah, so that's
And that's what I was
they
gonna
all
say.
want.
Did you use them for your pilot, and how many did you do surveys or any R&D work for them before, like testing the market?
Yeah, we did a quick survey like with around 100 people, and yeah, basically our plan is just Paul Graham always said do things that don't scale, and
Yeah.
we're pretty much just gonna follow that motto. And with our first maybe 500 to 1,000 users, we're just gonna like grind out getting feedback from them and refining the product, and then from there we have a few more plans.
So I'm trying to wonder because I know it's summer now. Obviously, you guys are out. What does like your weekly schedule look like? Like, what do you do during the day right now? Since do you work also right now during the summer, or you're just focused on this and doing other things?
No, I'm not doing a job right now. So I guess there's like three main things I do. So I work on, I get up around like maybe 9 a.m., 9:30. And then I'll probably work on this like my startup until maybe like 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So I get around like 5 hours of work. Uh, and then I'll take a break and probably I have to do some SAT prep because I'm taking that soon. So I probably do some SAT prep. And after that, I'm also really involved in research. I do like a bunch of research. So I just work on my research projects for the rest of the day. And honestly, it's pretty much like that every single weekday. So that's the
That's
schedule.
what grind about. Yeah, I know. People don't understand. You're already way ahead of the curve, so keep. But what do you do for your startup? Like, what are the big things? Are you doing marketing? Are you working on the AI model? Are you do, you know, what does that entail?
Yeah, so I'd say like my work is split into three major categories, which is just number one is like funding and capital, number two is
Okay.
marketing, and then number three is like actually developing the product. So usually I get up in the morning and um we have our main engineer, our founding engineer, he lives in New York, so as soon as we get up, we have a meeting with him. Um and kind of just talk through what features we want to get done that day, what progress we need to make, any problems we're gonna face. Uh, and we'll work on the product for a little bit. And it like depending on it's very flexible, right? So depending on everyone else's schedule, like we have uh three people who work on the product, me, my co-founder, and our founding engineer. So depending on their schedule, they can either keep working on the product or switch over to something else. Then I'll usually switch over to marketing, where I usually just make a bunch of social media scripts like for videos we can make. Right now, I'm still kind of planning that out because I'm still trying to plan out like what strategy I want to use when marketing, like what perspective I want to take in social media. But we're definitely doing like a founder-led marketing perspective. So I started a series a week ago maybe. I'm calling it the Race Against Cluey. Because I feel like that's content that's like being demanded right now. Like just Cluey, anything with Cluey is huge in the startup space, especially if you're racing against it. That's definitely something that people would want to see. And I haven't been posting regularly because I've kind of been coming up with a plan for that. But I'm definitely working on it every day, up with a plan to start posting regularly. And then probably towards the last like 1 hour, I'll do like the boring work, which is just finding a bunch of investors and just doing like
Outreach sucks.
yeah, outreach. Yeah, that it's kind of boring, but you got to do it. So that's kind of what I do towards the end of my work.
That's interesting. Wait, so what did you say you did with series?
Uh, there I started an Instagram series called The Race Against
Oh,
Cluey.
okay. I was thinking because there's a startup called Series. If you've heard
Yeah,
of them.
there's a startup called series. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I got confused. I know Cluely. Just for background for any of the viewers, Cluely and Series are big startups, and on LinkedIn, there's like 5 big startups, honestly, or probably even less, that honestly take up the majority of everyone's feed, and it's just unbelievable how much dominance they have on on that platform. But I want to know how you met your founders, because you said one's from New York, and how old are they?
Yeah. So my co-founder, he's from he's lives in the Bay Area. I
Okay.
met him through kind of an internship we're doing. It's called Ultra. So Ultra is a Y Combinator startup from like I think last spring.
Yeah, I think I heard of them.
Uh, yeah, they do like college admissions work, and they basically hosted this like internship where a bunch of people get together and they get like you basically get coaching on a starting startup and scaling. So
Wow.
we met through that program, and we've been getting coached for the last few weeks by Oliver, who's the founder of that, and yeah, he's been really helpful, and we've basically just been working on it together.
Dang, I gotta look into an internship like that for us to host. I mean, I know people who would die for something like that. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's yeah.
I mean, you just learn straight and you get introduced to people, and what, you get paid for it too?
No, it's not paid.
Uh,
He's basically he's
Still.
actually burning money from this. It's kind of
Well,
funny.
he's definitely playing the long term game. It's smart.
Yeah.
All right, I want to talk about it more, but I'll do some chat questions first. So people are saying, have you ever thought of the idea of having the items shipped to their house, like, or do they buy it off of their website, or do you guys handle any of it, like getting it delivered, or does it just kind of give you recommendations and you can go to Nike's site to buy the sweatshirt or something like that?
Yeah. So what we do is we have to we we have a link to the product on the cart. So once you're on the cart shopping cart page, you can just click the link and buy the product. And later on, we'd want to look into like just being able to check out via our platform. That's probably gonna have some
Saves
like
time.
tricky work. Yeah, it's gonna be like we're probably gonna have to integrate something with like Stripe and stuff, but
Yep.
uh, that's probably going to be later. And the reason we need the links are because we need the money from the affiliate partnerships, which comes through if you click a link, then you get the money. So that's basically what we're doing.
Yeah, and then I had another question for: is there sort of like a chatting feature to where you can have a conversation and it'll talk to you about your situation, or it just gives you the recommendation and that's it, or is it more personable than that and you can talk to a bot?
Yeah. So later on, what we're actually going to do is we're going to have another feature where you can create. It's a create outfit feature, but that create outfit feature is going to be given like any sort of parameters. So it's going to be basically a chatbot, and you're basically going to tell him like, I have to go to school tomorrow, and it's going to be raining. Give me an outfit
So,
for that. so you'll be able to create your own outfits no matter what.
Nice. That's really cool. Um, okay, let's see. I want to talk into because we have about 20 minutes left. Um, what advice would you give to another high schooler who wants to launch something, but obviously they're gonna feel like they're too young or underqualified?
I think the advice I'd give is just build it anyways. So even if you want to like you have dreams of making a startup and you don't know if you can do it, uh, I'd say just build it. Like focus on just building it. You can like do surveys and stuff if you want, but just build it as like a passion project. And
Yeah,
after
don't
you
even
build it,
focus
you
on the
can,
money.
yeah, you can look into like scaling it and maybe like starting actually like getting capital and stuff like that. But don't like think about it as a startup when you're starting and just start building it. And as you start building, if you're like, hey, this is actually a really good idea, then you can start getting into like the like traditional startup stuff. So you start doing market research, you start doing like you start actually going out to people customers and talking to them. And because once you have like the base idea of your product down, you can always pivot because like especially with all the AI tools nowadays, you can just like put your whatever you've already built into something like I don't know, like Cursor or even like Lovable or something, and say, hey, can I'm trying to pivot to XYZ, can you do this? And it will probably do it well for you. So I think yeah, just build it and see what happens.
Yeah, so start as a passion project, focus on just building it as much as possible and getting it added to your portfolio, and kind of you can always pivot later on. So focus on revenue and the actual scalability of it later on. Yeah, I agree 100%. That's kind of how we started ours because obviously we pivoted about 4 or 5 times before we actually settled on a model that could work. So what we started out is not nowhere near what we are today. So, but I was also gonna say, kind of what tools do you use? Because I know you use LinkedIn for outreach and posting, and I'm sure you use ChatGPT. But like, what else has been like a major thing for you to help you guys kind of start up?
I think probably the most like major tool is definitely just social media. So like I mean I just keep it very simple. So I just use LinkedIn for like community led development growth. Uh, Obviously Discord for like talking to people like
Yeah.
on a bunch of servers. And yeah, everyone uses ChatGPT, but I think the most powerful tool we have, especially as high schoolers, at our disposal is just social media because in the end, with something like a B2C product like this, it just like distribution is what changes it, right? Like you can have a great product, but if you don't know how to distribute, then you're not going to get any money. You're not going to be able to scale. And that's often what has made the difference, especially in this space. Like, for example, FIA, which was the app that Bill Gates' daughter created.
Yeah, I've heard of
It's
that.
not it's not a very special app. Like it's very easy to replicate the product, but their distribution is actually just insane. And obviously the same thing is with Cluely. Like they don't have anything super unique. It's actually not that hard to replicate, and
Yeah.
there's a bunch of like duplicates, but they just distribute so well it doesn't matter. So social media, especially just trying to go viral on social media, is I think like the future of like B2C marketing and like now like all this stuff with like cold emails and all that stuff like I think people are gonna start ditching like the traditional like marketing class style thing where you like if you went to a class in college and learned marketing, I don't think that's going to work anymore
It's
for B2C.
useless. Yeah.
And you just focus on going viral on social media.
Yeah, because honestly, that's how majority of the startups you see on LinkedIn were formed. Because obviously, when Series got their funding, they were posting about it everywhere, and they were getting into news publications, and they were having everyone else make posts about it, and they were reposting all of their posts. Yeah, honestly, it's just LinkedIn's like a cheat code at this point, and people are realizing that. That's how Cluely blew up too. That's why honestly, I think buying LinkedIn Premium might actually be worth it. And yeah, it honestly doesn't even matter because, like you said, Cluey and Series aren't even really unique ideas, and they can be easily replicated. And it just shows you that just their outreach is just killing everyone else, and it's getting them ahead. And that's all that matters is how fast you can move. It doesn't really matter about your idea or how much funding you got. It's just how fast can you scale and grow and get out there. Because if you're first, people are not going to want to enter that space because obviously they see you're dominating it. So that's going to eliminate a lot of competition. That's just my take anyway. Um, I just want to know what's when school's coming up, kind of what's next for Drift. What is the next plan for September area for when you guys are back in school, and what's that schedule going to look like when you're balancing school and that?
Yeah, for sure. So September is actually when we're planning to launch it, like sometime mid-September.
Nice.
That's our like planned launch. We would have done August, but August is when school starts, so we're gonna like kind of get back into school, take it a little easy for a few weeks, and then go back in September. Um, and the path forward is actually very straightforward. So what we're going to do is we're going to launch, and we're going to, like I said, take the first few customers, like our first 500 customers, and just refine our product with their feedback for the next like 3-4 weeks. We just focus on refining our product, making something that people would like really love to use. And from there, it's to scaling is just all like the easiest way to scale is to obtain capital. So with our initial users, with our refined product, we'll probably go and we'll try to obtain some capital. We're already working on that right now, so we don't have to worry about it too much later. Like in terms of getting investors interested, talking to them, and obtaining like capital. And from that, basically, the biggest use for that capital is just going to be scaling using social media. So our plan is basically to talk to a bunch of micro influencers, like people with like 10K, 20K, 30K followers on Instagram or TikTok. And we'll basically tell them like, hey, we'll pay you like $500 if you can make 3 videos about our product. And if we just reach out to like, let's say 100 micro influencers, pay them each like $500 to talk about our product, and they each have like 20K followers, then it's gonna like our views are gonna stack up very, very fast. And if you've heard of what Cal AI is, it's a startup that another high schooler founded. It's like 30 million ARR. Yeah.
It tracks your
So
calories, right? Like you scan the food and it.
yeah,
And I don't even think it's that accurate, right? Or someone told me like
yeah,
they used it.
yeah. There's like a lot of complaints about people not being that accurate, but they've reached 30 million ARR, and the only reason they did it is because their product was featured on every single fitness influencer's page. So we're basically gonna take a page out of their book and just go to every single fashion influencer on social media and tell them we'll pay you a bunch of money if you advertise our product. And that's basically how we're gonna get views and scale. Because founder-led marketing can only take you so far. At some point, you need to like go out and start doing UGC. And the best way to do UGC is to get like the influencers to do it.
Yeah, I love that route. And my question was going to be, what celebrity would you kind of pick for Drift and why? But I guess you're more focused on the micro dosing of, smaller. Like you'd rather have 10 medium-sized guys than one big influencer. Is that true?
Yeah, I think especially because it's a lot easier to tell 10 medium-sized guys like, hey, we'll pay you like $1,000. The big size guys probably not gonna do it for anything less than like
Yeah,
a
10
bunch
grand.
of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 or something. So I think definitely as we scale, like I want to start targeting celebrities, especially like actors and stuff. That would be really nice. Um,
And even,
but yeah.
I'm sure there's got to be fashion influencers, right? I mean, I don't really know
Oh
much.
yeah,
I'm not
for
in the
sure. There's a
space.
lot.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And I would guess that's going to be a huge advantage for you guys, is because most of the people probably approaching them are just brands, but you guys are a totally different. You're a platform approaching them who's a new take on styling, and just like probably something they've never seen before. So that'll be really
Exactly.
interesting. I want to see what their reaction would be to that, because they're mostly just getting care packages of items and shirts to try on and just saying, I love this, or it's usually majority of the stuff they deal with. But you guys are completely new. Huh. I want to ask a club question. So what would you say has been the most underrated club you've been a part of that shaped your mindset, or even a class? Has there been any that really impacted you? Because I know you're pretty involved in school.
I think probably the most impactful club for me has been in high school. I'm assuming is the question. It has been debate. So I do a lot of debate, and I would never be able to actually speak as well as I can right now if I didn't do debate. And especially like I've talked to a bunch of investors. Like, um, I don't know if you guys know like Danielle Strackman. She's a pretty popular investor. So I'm actually like synced with her and we're talking. And she also did debate, and she's like, yeah, like you can tell the difference between someone who knows how to talk and communicate their ideas versus someone who like a founder who's really smart but they can't communicate their ideas. And it's just so huge when you're talking to investors to be able to talk like persuasively and in just be able to communicate well. And I wouldn't be able to do any of that if it weren't for debate. So if like I don't know if any high schoolers watching the stream and they need to choose a club to join, I'd say join debate, especially if you're interested in founding something because it's really easy.
So I never. Was there any other clubs you were in?
Yeah, I'm like in a couple smaller clubs. Like I'm interested. I do a lot of aerospace research, so I'm in aerospace club. Uh,
Nice.
but nothing major.
But you agree. So this is something I was telling students all the time is getting involved in clubs in general can be extremely beneficial for you, but a lot of people just won't do it. And you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I think um getting involved in a club. I think the way I kind of approached it was in freshman year. I kind of joined a couple of clubs just to see what stuff interested me. Uh, but then like once I kind of got an idea, like I became really interested in aerospace and just overall anything to do with mechanical engineering. So once I kind of got my interest in that field, I started becoming less involved in aerospace club, but started becoming more involved. I started doing a lot more research, and I think research is like the number one activity. Like if you're in high school, you have to do research because it's it teaches you so much. It makes you learn so much. Like no almost no high schoolers can will be who don't do research will be able to do like math and like engineering to the level of someone who can do research because it makes you just learn like the raw subject, like the amount of like linear algebra I've read just like doing research and stuff. It's like incomparable to any like class you'll take in high school. And yeah, like I'd say the way I did it was I joined clubs to see what I'm interested in and then started doing research in that field. And yeah, like research is the activity to do if you're in high school.
And what are kind of the biggest tools for research that you use? Would you say YouTube is a big one?
Yeah, I think to get started with research, since there's like a huge, um, it's really hard because the language they use, especially like in aerospace research, you have to like do a bunch of like differential equations. You have to know a bunch of like math and stuff and physics to get started. So I think the two biggest tools are probably YouTube to learn, and then also Perplexity to just find a bunch of tools because I know people say it's in ChatGPT wrapper and stuff, but Perplexity is actually way better than ChatGPT at finding stuff for you to research and getting information, summarizing it in a really easy way.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, I've never looked into it. I've never used Perplexity, but people mention it all the time. So I'm gonna make a note to make an account and check it out. You've been using it for a while?
yeah, I've been using it ever since I started research, like,
Oh
and
wow.
it's been really.
So you've been using it for a while now. Huh. Okay, yeah, I gotta look into it. You're like the sixth person this month that's told me about it. Let's see. Trying to see which one would be a really good one right now. What do you think is something that people waste too much time on when they're starting their startup? And have you experienced anything where it's like, I can't believe I just wasted all that time on something this dumb or what that wasn't necessary?
I think the number one thing is getting a team. Like that's the.
Yeah, people underestimate that.
I think people try to focus too much on getting a team and like getting the right people. And by team, I don't mean like founding team, like getting 3 to 4 really good people. That's very important. You have to spend time on that. I'm talking about getting a team larger than that. So what I mean is, I think people start big teams too early, and this is something I see in a bunch, especially in high school startups, where they're trying to like expand their team because they're really busy, so they're trying to get a lot of people to do other stuff. And I think this is just like a recipe for disaster. Like they get like 5 people on funding, 5 people on sales, 5 people on marketing, 5 people on software development, and it's really really pointless because you start ending up having to manage the team. But the problem is when you're starting a startup, everything has to be so tailored to like you have to be very involved in building the product, in
Yeah.
marketing. Like you have to be the person doing it. Like you as the CEO have to be doing every single thing. And what happens is you end up having to micromanage everybody because they're not going to do it the way you think they should be doing it. And I think the most important thing when you're starting a startup is do things the way you think they should be done, because then like you get yourself very involved in it, and you are able to see what's right, what's wrong, and actually know like, okay, this is how we do marketing, this is how we don't. Because then once you're ready to scale and you want a team for yourself, then you can just tell them like, hey, this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do. And then same thing for software, this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do. The problem is if you get a team too early and you waste so much time on getting that team, you're not going to know what you should do and shouldn't do. So the team is just going to be doing something that's wrong, and you're not going to have any idea about it. And it's just really like a huge pain point that I think no high schooler should, like, you don't form a team larger than 4 people. I think definitely as
When
if you're starting to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of my first mentors told me that, is because I was thinking we're going to need salespeople almost immediately to help out with this outreach. And he was like, you need to do it first so you can fully understand the market and the full sales process. So then you can go and teach it to others. Like you should be the only, and maybe your co-founder should be the only people who are doing sales and doing outreach for the first, like at almost like 6 months, I would say. Maybe even longer than that, depending on how long it takes you to launch. And yeah, ever since he said that, we never brought on people to help with that area, and it's just been me and my co-founder handling all that. So I agree 100%. You should not be. You can bring on a couple of marketing people who can, like, if you want a social media editor or video editor or something like that, because it's something that if you don't know how to edit, or you don't have time to really make consistent posts, maybe bring on one other person to help with that is fine. But yeah, for really crucial points like sales or outreach or figuring out the product or like software engineering, that's stuff you need to get involved in and you need to understand completely for a while before you can bring on other people. Yeah, I agree 100%. And then I want to ask, we'll close it up soon. Just one last question. I was thinking, because as we're having this conversation, I'm always thinking of like guerrilla marketing techniques or other ways you can kind of get your name out there besides obviously social media. Since you're in the fashion space, like I'm wondering, what would you guys host events or like fashion shows or other things kind of push your name out there? Do you have any cool ideas?
I think honestly, I haven't really thought of stuff like that because I think that stuff just happens naturally with scale. Like I think I'd actually want to wait until there's demand for us to do that. Like if like a user is telling me like, yo, can you guys please do something like XYZ, like some kind of event or something. Once people start pushing for it to happen, that's when I think is the right time to do it, because having your event, setting it up, and then telling just going blindly out to people and saying, hey, there's this event, come, you should come. You're probably not going to get the same results as
Yep.
people demanding that event. Yeah, like if people are demanding the event, they'll come. So I think it's something that happens naturally with scale. So I think I'll start thinking about it once people start telling me to
Yep.
start doing stuff like that.
Good answer. Yeah, I was just future planning. I was just seeing if you had anything in the think tank, because I'm really curious. Because there's a lot of routes you could take. There's a lot of cool things you could do with this. And I think one of the biggest things you could do is leverage your school. How you're in your last year? You said you're a junior or senior.
Yeah, I'm in my junior year, so I have 2 more years.
So I think leveraging your school is going to be huge for this launch, especially because you're launching right when school is about to start up again. Not only is that going to give you a customer base, but honestly, you can find teachers and people in the administrative office or career center where you could be like, I want to do an event with the school, or can you guys help me push this out? Something like that. Because I'm sure they'll be more than happy to support their student founders, because that's what they did at my
Definitely.
school. Yeah, so because I spoke with one, there was a professor in the law department, and I was asking her like incorporation questions, and she would get on calls with me for free. So there's just so many ways you can use your school, and obviously high school probably has a lot less resources than a college, but there's still a lot of things I could think of that you could do, and I'm sure you're going to be doing it this year and next year. Yeah. All right, so we're about at the timestamp. Any closing remarks? Any kind of last like general advice you want to give to any students out there or student founders?
Yeah, I think probably just a summary of everything I think what I've been talking about is just get into it if you want to do something and do it yourself. Like you can just do it quietly. You don't have to post about it. You don't have to do anything about it. Just do it quietly, start getting into it, and once you start getting into it, once you start thinking through it, you'll see immediately whether it's a good idea or not. Like you will immediately be able to tell like if it's something you can scale and pursue or not. And as soon as you have that, then there's so many paths you can take. Building in public, and there's a bunch of stuff you can do for support. There's a bunch of programs who support you. There's a bunch of founder investors out there who will support you. Like I've gotten so much support from investors and stuff, just like helping me and talking to me, helping me refine our pitch.
All
So
for
the
free, right?
supports, yeah, all for free. The support's all there. It's all free. They will probably at some point end up paying you a large sum of money to support you and give you, and help fund your progress. So I think yeah, just get into it, do it quietly, and then as soon as you can see that it's something that can be loud, you can start making noise. And yeah.
Yeah, I think right now is probably one of the lowest barriers of entry to get in. I think it's the easiest time to start a startup because of all the tools and the free stuff out there. And there's all these mentorship programs and incubators. It's unbelievable. Like, you don't even have to spend a dime and you can gain so much traction
Yeah.
and get so far. Yeah, that's what we've been using. All right. Yeah, this is great. If you guys want to contact him, you can type !guest and I'll set up a command, but his LinkedIn will be there and his website. What do you have signups on your site now for waitlist?
Yeah, it's a sign up wait. It's a way to like.
All right, I'll send both of these in the chat. And any other ways for them to contact you that you wanted to shout out?
I guess yeah, you can.
Like email,
Yeah,
Discord.
I suppose email is fine. I don't know if you have my email or not.
Yeah, I'll send that too in the chat. I'll send all
Sure.
three. So we have website, his LinkedIn, and his email as well. And they should be in the description if you guys are watching the VOD after the fact. But yeah, I think that's it. All right. Thank you so much for coming out to the show. All the best with